Good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilly Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're a little later than yesterday because I got one of those callers that never stops talking. I'm still frustrated. Alright, we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we get going, folks, a few of the usual disclaimers. You are going to see the link to this article right there in the description box alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, and the templates. Kill him, kitty, the templates. You know the drill. Sign your name, click on your senator. And the ever-present, self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Folks, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, alright? And I'm sorry if the cat starts rocking the computer. He nuzzles. He nuzzles it, and I got this balancing on an arm up the couch. Alright, so we're going to where we left off, historical context. It has been noted. Oh, and also, folks, I don't want to, rattle routine more than I already have. So, I'm exhausted. My routine was messed up. I'm officially an autistic fog brain. So I'm not just going to stumble over my words. I'm going to lose complete train of thought. My apologies in advance, alright? Okay, now we'll get started. Historical context. It has been noted by Hacking 2002 and others. An understanding of historical ontology is essential in coming to know how conditions that have led to the creation of theme parks continue to operate and perhaps migrate into other spaces as well, as I argue in the case with the JRC. Thus, the knowledge of the history of the phenomenon that is the theme park and the institutions is essential to the understanding of their complementary functions. This also allows for exploration of how past conditions have contributed to the emergence of the theme park and how current social, political, and economic conditions continue to support the existence and expansion of the theme park, and what has been termed Disneyification more generally. I begin with a brief historical reaction to the creation of intellectual disability as a social problem in need of containment. Fuck me. The institution. Because the JRC is located in America, I will focus on the American context, drawing upon the work of James Trent and Licia Carlson, as well as the work as Ben Mosh, Chapman, and Carey. The installation of disabled people in North America began fairly early, influenced by the confinement of disabled people in England and France, as Ben Mosh, Chapman, and Carey 2014 point out. As in France and England, the almshouse, general hospitals, and jails were used to confine various populations, including disabled people, orphans, widows, and the ill together in the same place. All these populations were considered to be dependent, unproductive, and or dangerous, and so were contained similarly. Later, the differential classification of intellectual disability led to the creation of special spaces designed to contain those with intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. These spaces were designed with the assumption that given the right conditions, disabled and deviant individuals could be trained to adhere to normative social, intellectual, and behavioral standards. Trent 1994, Carlson 2010, Ben Mosh et al. 2014. So the whole idea is that what we are as people, how we're born, is deviant. It's wrong. We are wrong. We're deviant, you see, because of how we're born over things over which we have no control. So they are assuming incorrectly that with the right conditions, they can, for lack of a better way to put it, make us neurotypical. It's not how it works, but that was the thinking back in the day, although the medical model still pushes this to this day, folks. It is very much a part of the medical model of the modern day, which we've had small advances here and there, but by and large, over the majority, it's still about how to make us more the unattainable normal that even the doctors who are trying to help us be normal aren't even normal. Just saying. As Ben Moss 2014 argued, the outlook that characterized this early period of institutional spaces for disabled was one of optimism and faith that in special environments emphasizing moral, intellectual, and social norms, any person was now capable of achieving normalcy. Can somebody explain to me why the fuck normalcy is the goal? I've never understood that. Just be like everybody else. Who the fuck wants that? Isn't the idea to stand out? One would think, right? At least in theory. This new belief in the achievability of normalcy for all was a development that heralded renewed attempts to eliminate neurodivergence, but the focus of this effort was now on modifying individuals and their behavior, which is garbage. It's this false premise that if you just try hard enough, you'll make us normal. No! Parents, you yourselves are not normal. If you people who keep trying to make us normal will go, stop trying to make us into something, haul your ass in front of your own bathroom mirror, and take a good honest look at yourselves for 5 minutes, you would realize that you yourselves are not this unattainable normal that you continue to try and force on us. Just saying. Ain't none of us right. Trent 1994 argues that while the ways those diagnosed with intellectual disability have been controlled under the guise of help and treatment has changed over time. Treatment methods have shifted from institutions to group homes. The ways that non-disabled regard those with intellectual disability has not fundamentally changed. That's my point. Neither has the medicine. Not really. As my paper will illustrate, the difference between an institution like the notorious Willowbrook and the Judge Rotenberg Center is perhaps not as great as some might contend. While we tend to think that today we are more aware and knowledgeable about autism and intellectual disability, we're not. We're really fucking not. There is still a push to create spaces that segregate, control, and attempt to normalize neurodivergency. Trent 1994 cites Seguin, a doctor and teacher who worked in France and later in the United States with those we would now understand as having intellectual disability or as being autistic, as trumpeting the potential of those labeled as having intellectual disability to improve or be cured up to a certain point. Oh, fuck me. Even while total cure was not possible. Well, at least they gave us that. The JRC too utilizes the same logic, claiming that every autistic person can demonstrate improvement through their stick behavioral treatment program. Oh, you mean turning them into little robots and you call that improvement? Because it seems to me I wasn't shocked just below the lethal limit every day of my life. Turns out my mom used, normal things like logic. And it worked out perfectly. Because she never tried to change anything about my individuality, folks. She never tried to change me as a person. She never tried to make me behave in any certain way, except into the fact that I wasn't doing anything, stupid. She taught me, the importance of place and time, because we all noticed I have a tendency to run my mouth. And the majority of the time, I don't have a filter. So she taught me the concept of place and time. She taught me a lot of things, folks, but she never tried to, get the neurodivergence out of me. Makes a huge difference. Trent 1994 traces the history of the creation of intellectual disability as a category The treatment of those labeled with intellectual disability in the United States similar to Ahmed's exploration of sexual orientation. Remember when we told you the guy who created ABA is the same guy that did the gay conversion therapy? It's the same fucking program, folks. It's the exact same. Look it up sometime. Ahmed 2006 notes that the emergence of the concept of sexual orientation relies on the creation of binary between homosexual and heterosexual. This relationship is not one of equivalence, however, because the queer body is one labeled as having an orientation, whereas the heterosexual body is considered to be neutral default position. Thus, the creation of the category or term sexual orientation corresponds to the production of the homosexual as a type of person who deviates from what is neutral. Oh, fuck me. Goddamn. Ahmed 2006. This is mirrored in the history of the creation of the label intellectual disability, which only functions as a category when we conceptualize neurodivergent individuals as a deviation from the neutral, non-disabled, neurotypical body-mind. Trent, 1994, notes the role that Seguin played in both the creation of different ways of categorizing intellectual disability into levels. Fuck me, here we go. From those who needed the least support to those needing the most. It fluctuates, people. Fuck God. My holy hell. There are times when I need all the supports. And there are times when I need almost none. And also in the creation of institutions and special schools for children, youth, and adults labeled with intellectual disability and what we would today classify as autism. Trent, 1994, traces in a way intellectual disability was created as a category that justified the need for special schools because the home and the community were deemed incapable of properly educating and caring for the child with intellectual disabilities, and they were also burdened by the disabled child both socially and economically. Oh, fuck me. I get so tired of this shit, you know? Because it still goes on to this day. They will sit there and say, but we must feel sorry for these mothers. Yeah, we know she murdered a 5-year-old fucking autistic child, her own son, but she doesn't have supports and this and that. Her support. Her. See, folks, there's a real easy way to keep yourself from having disabled children. Wear a condom. Take birth control. Quit fucking blaming disabled kids for your own goddamn problems. Period. I'm done being nice about this. I'm done being kind. I'm done trying to be understanding. Nah. Fucking done. Because guess what? Raising kids is tough. And there's no guarantee that your perfect neurotypical kid will not get in an accident and end up disabled too. Done. You all made the decision to have fucking kids. Do not call us burdens when we didn't have a choice in the matter. Done. Sorry, but God, that pisses me off. Moreover, the creation of early American training schools established for the institutional superintendents and doctors as experts in the needs of the care of neurodivergent children cemented the necessity for such places based on their special knowledge and expertise. Trent, 1994, pages 26 through 27. In the mid-1800s, the goal of education for children labeled with intellectual disabilities was productivity. And it still fucking is. The focus was training the child to be able to contribute to the family and the community. Because, we gotta earn our worth. It was felt that this could be only achieved in a specialized, segregated setting away from the family and the child's community because parents were accused either of neglecting the needs of the child or overindulging the child, both of which contributed to the development of the idle or degenerate and thus burdensome idiot, whose lack of not only the ability to be productive, but also moral sensibility, thus contributed potentially to crime, which is a bunch of ableist garbage, folks. Let's put it this way. We live in a capitalist society that looks down on individuals that is not being productive up to their standards. It is devaluing and dehumanizing, not just us disabled, but all human beings in fucking general. It's this deficient idea that our value is only in what we can produce. We have inherent dignity and rights as human beings on this planet. We have value as human beings because we are here. We all make our own marks in our own way. And until we get this idea out of our heads that we have to earn our right to be valued, we have to earn our right to have human and civil rights, this world's going to continue to be fucked, not just for disabled people, but for all of us. Now I'm going to end on that note. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.